Welcome back, everybody, to our energy update for collective energies. If you were an empath or an energetically sensitive person, then this could be interesting for you, because we're looking at how these outer energies, these collective energies, are affecting our personal energies here for this coming next week, August 3rd till August 9th. My name is Yona Brindis, and I'm an energy healer and energy coach here at transCODES, along with a whole entire group of fantastic energy healers. And out of all these sessions that we compile here, that we protocol throughout the week, which is mostly comprised of people who are sort of in the self-mastery, in the self-improvement area, who want to learn how, to master their own energies. And so these are not just findings that I channel somewhere. These are things that come from observations, okay? Observations amongst people who are learning how to work with their energies, how to consciously work with their precognition. And I'm not sure yet if you can hear me, if I'm live during this retrograde-ish time. Those of you who are into astrology, you may know what this means. We kind of got used to things not working out. If you can give me just a little bit of feedback here, if you can hear me, that'd be great. And let me know what country you're from. Let me know how you are feeling right now. There's enough time to respond to your, questions or comments. Thank you, Canada. Canada can hear me. All right, so great to have you here. Thank you for spending your time with me. Please use this opportunity here to interact, because this is, important for me. It's not just about sort of talking at you, or reporting something. It's also about sharing and relating and caring. This whole entire month of August is about that. So let me know how you're dealing with things, and please, of course, ask questions if there are things that you would like to be illuminated, or that you want me to go deeper. So what are we looking at here for this next week? You see the barometer here on the screen. This is sort of just my experimental attempt, to put this into a visualization that is easy for people to understand. What it does not say, though, is whether or not this is going to be a good week. It's going to inform you, or it informs you about the intensity levels. And you can see that we have something unusual here. Once in a while we have this. We have an arrow that basically points into two directions, showing that the way we perceive this next week, or the energies of next week, very much depends on our own state of energy, and how aware we are, and how well we can contextualize this. If we are not that, trained or practiced in interpreting, or discerning outer energies from inner energies, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad for you or anything. All that means is that you're going to be looking at a week that will be really, really good for training, for practicing that. Because if you can reframe what you're experiencing into a more larger view of what is going on here, and not take everything too personally, then you can actually have a really cool sort of aha type of learning experience. If you, however, get consumed, by all these fear and anger and raw, explosive, emotional, irrational energies that are around us right now, and we've talked about this in the past weeks here, because it's not really entirely slowing down yet, then it can be quite exhausting, or just another exhausting week for you. So this is a lot of words here, trying to allow you to not be too judgmental about what we're looking at and what is happening to you, okay, to move more into this neutral place with all this is going on. Practically spoken, we're still in this sort of cooking type of energy, so there still is the heat there, and there still is a lot of unresolved things, and people are unhappy, and people are very erratic right now, and feel very schismatic, okay? This will continue, but there is a slight shift now. There's new energies coming in. There's the winds of change coming in, okay? This takes, weeks and sometimes months. And in this case, the entire rest of the year, the entire sort of late second half of the year 2018 to fully manifest. So we're at the beginning of something really big and new, something radical in a way. But it's not like, we like in the times of French Revolution, where we can just go and, sort of decapitate everybody and then just declare new rules. This is not how this works in our day and time. Things take a little bit of time to manifest into the denser levels. And don't misunderstand me here. I did not mean this to be a suggestion on how to deal with some of the social, societal issues that we're dealing with, okay? And hello, South Africa. Yes, hello, America. Hello. I don't know where you guys are all from, but I'm seeing you. Yes, so we have to pace ourselves out a bit. And this is not the time to give up, as I said last week. This is the time to stay focused. This is the time to stay put. This is the time to learn what it means to be patient and what it means, to pace ourselves out, okay? To not become impatient, to not fall into this, oh my God, nothing is happening, or, even thinking that we're not progressing, that we're going backwards, anything. However, and this is now the interesting part here of this next week and the entire month of August, really, there is also something about keeping up with what is going on, okay? Keeping up with our own integrity, our inner integrity, the prompting to live up to our highest potential, to keep up with that. And perhaps to remember that, and perhaps to claim that, and perhaps to, for some of us, reflect on that a little more. All right? It's about what is our highest potential. And if we can sort of trust in the larger view that we are receiving due to just our ability to empathetically feel this within ourselves and within others and within, the entire global community here. What does this mean to us from that perspective? So next week is going to be a lot about reframing, guys. And I love it. It's about rocking up. It's about remembering your highest potential in the sense of what is the higher or highest expression of your nature. Just getting by is not enough, guys. Just hanging in there, just getting through, just coping, just self-soothing, no, it's not good enough. And guess what? Your true self knows this. So in this process of awakening, in this process of becoming real, all the low jobs, the just sort of keeping it mediocre, just keeping it safe, it's not going to work for you. This is already coming forward as a schism for you now, which means that you are feeling that this is not congruent. And so congruence is another big theme here for August. And this can be painful. Yes, this can lead to, and it has, and it will continue to for another week or two, sort of the breakdown of our ego illusions. So watching your ego melting down, watching other people's egos melting down, is kind of like a theme here right now, okay? And hitting rock bottom. So, see, people who already in this awakening and self-improvement and spiritual growth arena, for them hitting rock bottom is a little different. Not in a sense of special, but it is something that comes more as an inner prompting to wake up, to stand up, to rock up, to come out of your shell, to come out of the woodwork, all right? Because most of us actually have had a pretty traumatic experience with our energetic sensitivity and being an empath, because we had to keep things low, we had to kind of shut up, we had to kind of hide our perspective on things because people thought we were just crazy or like woo-woo, they wouldn't take us seriously, and so we kept things low. But now, guys, it's shifting. This is what the winds of change bring in. And yes, hello Denmark, hello Louisiana. It's really cool to see you guys coming from all these different places in the world, and before we get into the energy tips, I want you to look while I'm interpreting this. So my job is sort of the relayer of information, or the transcoder of information, which is, by the way, the reason why I called transcodes when I founded it. So in my understanding of energy healing and energy coaching, the primary job of a healer is not to fix things for others, but to help them see things maybe in a different way, to help them, find peace in some of these changes, that they are going through. If you're looking at the screen right now, and you're seeing this picture here, Facing the Winds of Change, that's a lot of a sort of literary wrap-up of these energies that we are going through right now. But a lot of our challenges here next week will have to do with facing, what this actually means now. Wakening up, becoming a conscious true self, becoming a conscious participant in this, what it is that we are supposed to do here. At this point, for me, this is all just like a divine comedy. I'm not really wondering about anything anymore, okay? This is all about, staying calm and, knowing that there's a reason for everything, that this is not just, that this is not just there to punish me or to victimize me. On the contrary, okay? So let me fix this here real quick, because I've been clicking around. How are you guys doing right now? How are you guys dealing with these energies that, sort of forcing us into truth, forcing us into becoming a true self? How is that going for your life, for your relationship? Because when we go into the energy tips here in a little bit, it'd be cool to have maybe a few examples of what people are going through, because I try to wrap this up in a way that I'm not being too specific about things, and more so sort of explaining the mechanisms at play. But what are some of the examples that you are experiencing right now, like say since this summer, or maybe the beginning of the year? Yes, okay. Yes, yeah, okay, somebody commented here on my calmness. Yes, so this is actually something that you can observe in people who know how to center their energy, how to ground their energies. It's almost like the more stressful it gets, the calmer you can be, all right? And that would be sort of this gray arrow here on the barometer, that puts you in a place of really knowing why you're here and knowing why you're doing this, trusting in that and being confident about this. Anybody who gets consumed, by stress, by accidents, by, unfortunate events, who goes into victimhood and so forth, would be represented through the arrow that points to the right here, that controls and dominates your emotions, your thought processes, and your decision-making processes. Yes, and Rocky, thank you for mentioning this. Anxious to see how everything turns out, because this is a wonderful example for what we're getting at here into this next week, namely how things turn out and how can we reframe this fear of the unknown, the fear of uncertainty, into something a bit more, I don't even want to say positive, into a bit more sort of creative expression of this chaos. And how can we see, sort of the game in all of that, the dance and all of that. I will answer that question here, or it's not a question, I will comment about that in a little bit. Yes, AS feels for the first time that I feel outside of all the drama. Wonderful, so that fits right in. It's like I'm an observer now, and it's so peaceful because there's no need to take sides. Thank you, AS. That's actually a really good way of putting this, not feeling the need to take sides. Okay, this is the place of neutrality, as we call it as energy coaches, where you can not only observe, because observing can sometimes make you a little cold. It can sometimes make you dissociate from things, withhold things. But going into the witnesser point of view, which is the part in you that can observe and experience things at the same time. Yes. Yes. There's a lot of shifts. Yes, the eclipses. Yes, and cool you mentioning this. The eclipses, they have to do with immunity. We'll talk about this in the energy tips. Matthew's commenting, I'm also feeling more comfortable with myself and peaceful for the first time in ages. That's really cool, Matthew. And at the same time, so much suppressed feeling is coming up, and that's okay. Yes, so there's a lot of suppression, a lot of repression, a lot of venting, all around us. For us, it's really more about how can we stay in our center? How can we stay grounded? Okay, so, but what's in the foreground here to develop this trust and confidence is our congruence, to not kid ourselves anymore. And for many of us, I've talked about this last week, it was about shadow work, it was about facing our ego and our ego illusions, okay, and how our addictions, our coping mechanisms and all that, how that pulls us into this lower place, how it literally lowers our etheric immune system as well, because, it puts us into this place where we see ourselves as unwhole, as unholy, as flawed, as inadequate, insufficient, okay, and that is like an immediate sort of drop in vibratory frequency, okay? And that's how you get pulled into all this outer intensity. So prime directive, for an energetically sensitive is to be able to discern, is this mine or is this coming in from the outside? And remember, as soon as you get consumed by it, as soon as you're getting dominated by it, then it's yours. Then it doesn't matter anymore where it came from. Then you allowed it in, and as soon as it latches on, you're going to have to deal with this. It's your problem now, all right? That reminds us very much also to watch our boundaries very clearly. Okay, so even though people are having difficulties with this right now because they feel a little attacked in their boundaries and they feel a little overwhelmed. So we all feel a little overwhelmed right now and exhausted. But this is not the time to shut down, guys. This is not the time to, just go into your old ways, coping, checking out. No, this is the time to pay attention. This is the time where you have to learn, or where you can learn to apply, all these things about what it means to be an awakening person or awakened person, what it means to having been red-pilled or red-pilling yourself. Rocky's asking in the chat if anyone else has been experiencing a lot more number synchronicities. These things are interesting, sort of commonalities, that we suddenly see certain things. Our perception is drawn to a specific kind of thing, like geometries or numbers. This is very common in times where there's a lot of 6th and 7th chakra activity. So this coming week will be more 6th chakra, but still 6th chakra is our third eye, and in those times we will begin to see a lot more signs, a lot more promptings. This is not just numbers for people. But yes, if you have, let Rocky know, if you have experienced something like that as well. But it could also be in terms of seeing certain visuals or having certain kinds of dreams, that indicate something, that means something to you. I personally don't recommend to get too fixated on numbers, okay? So I know that there's a lot of master numbers and so forth floating around in the internet, in the spiritual esoteric scenes. I don't pay much attention to this, guys, even though I actually do work with number codes here at transCODES, and that's how I teach other people to do energy code work. But knowing how selective perception works and how we perceive things based on a certain energetic, or based on a certain energetic state that we are in, I do know that we will see certain things in certain states, so they don't really have that big of a meaning anymore. So next week, guys, is all about you being confident. It's all about you knowing what you're doing here, okay? And accepting yourself no matter where you're at. And neutrality, to not judge yourself, even if you feel like you haven't really done progress because you've been in this awakening process for like 20 years or so. This doesn't mean anything, guys. All right, these people here, from the first or second wave of empaths, whatever you want to call them, indigo. So people have all kinds of labels, okay? But these labels are exactly what pulls you out of your neutrality into judgment, into specialness, okay? So let's just drop that, okay? These people who have been around sort of this spiritual seeking for a long time, okay, let's just call that, who are energetically sensitives and empaths, they are now becoming sort of the people that other people will look to for guidance. And that requires you to rock up. You got to know what you can do and how you can be of service, okay? And in order to get to that place, you need to look at things from a larger perspective, from the perspective of wholeness, from the perspective of inclusiveness, and understand that becoming real, and that authenticity is not just some label. That's hard work, guys. All right? So don't get caught up in the fight. Don't try to have to defend. Don't think you have to defend something or you have to protect yourself anymore. This is also the time where we have to show, that we can be vulnerable and that it's okay to listen to your intuition. That it's okay to have precognitive. That it's okay to see numbers. All right. Just don't try to convince others. Just don't try to make them feel like they're just not getting it yet. Okay, because anytime you elevate yourself, you make other people feel wrong, feel small. Okay. So my main energy tip here for this entire week is to look at this whole unfoldment, as a divine comedy, as a game. Not as a gamble, but as a game, as a dance, We're still dealing with all these chaotic energies. And sometimes things only look chaotic when you're too fixated on them. But when you zoom out, and you look at the larger picture, you see it's not chaotic at all. There are structures, there are patterns, and there is something really cool, that orchestrates all of that. And if you can be non-judgmental, and see this as a game, then you can really enjoy this ride. And instead of, oh my God, what's going to happen? Oh my God, how is this all going to play out? You can say, I wonder how this may play out. I wonder how I can contribute to this. I wonder how we as a species will handle that. I am curious. I am excited. I am tuning myself into the wonder of that. You see, and that's exactly what you said earlier, Rocky. That was exactly what you said. But instead of being anxious about it, be excited about it, okay? And the reason why I'm suggesting this is because this activates your manifestation energies, that opens up your field, to invite sort of the third option, to invite the higher vibratory solutions that you cannot see when you're in a state of fear. It's very, very important. So give yourselves more space, give yourselves more time, give yourself the opportunity to experiment and to wonder. Then you don't need to be afraid of making mistakes, because then you actually see, from this larger perspective, that there is no such thing as a mistake, that all of it is an experience. And if you tried something and it didn't work out, then that was a very effective way of eliminating an option, okay? And then you keep going, you keep wondering. The only mistake that you can do is to agree to lay low, to make compromises that are not life supporting, that are energy degrading, that are energy contracting, that are pulling you in this place of numbness, mediocreness, and incongruence. Because this is what really damages you and your energy and nullifies all these efforts, all these decades of spiritual work. It doesn't matter how good of a meditator you are. If you have settled for things that are, in sort of a general way, are not life promoting for you and energetically expansive for you, okay, then you're simply displaced. You have displaced yourself through your decisions. And so, next week you'll see that this will play a major, major role. And New Zealand and Atlanta, Ireland, wonderful to have you guys here. Thank you. So let me know how this is going. We're moving into the energy tips here for this next week on a physical level. Okay, so a lot of people primarily feel foggy right now, sort of like really almost like hungover, or feel like run over by a truck. So this exhaustion, this adrenal fatigue that I mentioned last week, is really getting to us, okay? Don't let that pull you down right now, because that's only because you haven't really managed to do the balance here, how to be present, how to engage, but without getting pulled in. Okay, so just keep practicing that. On a physical level here, next week you may feel your kidneys or your lower back, your lungs, this neck tension will be continued. I'm not expecting as bad as headaches as we had the last 2 weeks, simply because next week is more 6th chakra rather than 6th and 7th chakra. So it's more about seeing truth, implementing truth. Okay. Itchy eyes, Okay, that's something I will be very curious if you guys have that. I've had this for the last couple of days. And itchy eyes are usually a sign that there is something that you don't want to see. So pay attention to that. Stay put, guys. Stay focused. No more hiding. Okay? And for those of us who did get pulled in, who did get consumed, into this sort of global anxiety, okay, you need to go back to square one. You need to go back to self-care. Taking a shower, washing your hair, giving yourself a shave, putting on nice clothing, watering your plants, taking care of your pets, and so forth, cleaning out your car, removing trash and clutter around you. These things can help you to ground. These things can help you to reconnect with yourself, okay? So square one is not regress. Square one is going back to the basics, going back to the fundamentals, because if your basics are frazzled, if you're not standing in here, fully rooted, then this can be an issue for you next week. As far as the more sort of biochemical stuff is going on here next week, I'm expecting people with issues of the immune system. So watch, the inflammations are coming back in, infections are coming back in. Our lymphatic system really needs some care. If you know someone who can do drainages, that would be great. Cranial sacral therapies would be great. Inform yourself, educate yourself about your vagus nerve, and how it stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system. I'm going to add a few infographics to the written report, so please sign up to my email list here if you want to get the written reports. It's not a one-on-one transcript, but it gives you a little more information. Do mud wraps, or go to a salt room. It's this earthy energy here that you want to connect with this next week. This also almost like a little cavey, wombly time of feeling. All right. So allow yourself to really connect with the heart of Gaia. The center of this planet. Okay, this will keep you grounded. This will keep you, in this more calm, more centered place. All right. Now, emotionally, this is a pretty tricky time, guys. I understand it. A lot of us are in, like really intense pain. Mostly inner pain. And there's, of course, the pull into our addictions, our coping mechanisms, and all the justifications, and the blaming and the victimhood, and all that. And many people are hitting rock bottom right now, okay? And if it isn't you yourself, I reminded you of that last week as well, then watch others going there, okay? This does not mean that it's the end of all things, okay? You need to stand up and try again. Stand up and face your fear, okay? The reason why you got consumed by it is because you have these schisms in you, these incongruent aspects here, all right? So these are your biggest shit magnets. These are the things that pull you into that place, okay? So the only way to get past that is to really face it, to really look at it. Take an inventory, go into deeper reflection, look at the larger picture, all these things that I've already talked about. This is the only thing that can provide you with more trust in yourself, and trust in yourself is what is needed for you to pull yourself out and to become confident that you are this magnificent self-healer that we all are. You have phenomenal self-healing abilities. Just like our physical immune system, guys. I mean, I know medicine and all that tries to make us believe that it's got it all figured out. They have nothing figured out. Our immune system is so much more potent than any pharmacological or, whatever therapy. They have no clue. But what we do know is that when a person can really tune into self-healing, not just on a physical level, also on, an emotional, mental and spiritual level, all right, you can make these miracles happen. But you need to have that confidence, and feel that strength, that you have that in you. All right, so this is what we teach here at transCODES with, these free sessions that we have, these energy sessions, where once a month, we have 2 free sessions every month. One is a group healing session, so where everybody can come who is in need of support. And the other one is connecting with your true self and actively connecting with this self-healer in you. But you got to stop seeing those things as a weakness, all right? It's when you face it, then you begin to see how you can turn these things into strengths. And so shadow work is that process, is that healing process. And you can learn how to do this reframing, how to see that, whatever it is that you perceive as your weakness is actually a strength, just gone rogue or misused, or displaced, like in many of our cases. So your emotional processing, even though it seems like it's a big vulnerability that you have, is actually something that will turn out to be your biggest strength. But you have to be able to hold that place of the witnesser, and to go into a more confident self-expression. Then you can understand that hitting rock bottom is the beginning of something really cool and new, if you are willing to face it. Yeah. Mentally, guys, this is a bit, because it's so foggy, one of the biggest issues right now is to stay into this, in this clear cutness of seeing things the way they are, accepting things the way they are. And this requires you to reframe, all these like critical inner voices and negativity that you have, and begin to see the experiences that you have as just states of energy. And depending on what state of energy you have a certain perception of yourself. And all you really need, in regards to self-healing, is to shift your energy into a high vibratory state. So that's what energy work is in a nutshell. And those of you who are energetically sensitive, you have an inkling for these things, you have an intuition for these things, and you've got to learn now how to trust in that. And also how to share that, but again here, without becoming the know-it-all, or trying to convince others, or making others feel small. So there's a vulnerability in that, but that vulnerability is actually a strength. And you will see this happen here in these next 6-7 years, guys. It will redefine, a lot of the things, that we can't even imagine right now. It will literally become a paradigm change for all of us. And the way I talk about these things, the confidence that you feel in how I talk about this comes from a confidence, that I have learned through speaking truth, saying things the way they are, okay, and accepting things the way they are, because then your decision-making process is so much simpler. The truths, the simple truths in life, are the ones that our mind, that wants to intellectualize, that wants to make things special, that wants to make things complicated, that we ignore. One of these simple truths in life is we cannot control what happens outside of us. So we need to learn what it really means to be in a place of serenity, to be able to discern what I can do and what I can't do, what I can control, what I can't control, and to know the difference, and then to act accordingly. Okay? So live up to these standards that you have set for yourself. Call yourself on that. Yes, I know a lot of people really like that about me. Thank you guys for your wonderful comments. That makes me feel good. I've caught a lot of shit in my life for that, obviously. And my friends, they got used to it. So they're okay with that. And they kind of know that if they come to me in personal questions or whatever, they can always get a really truth-based, not opinionated, but truth-based reflection on that. You can do this for yourself, guys. Of course, it's cool when you have other people and that can do this for you as well. And I want to start my social tips here, the relationship tips for this next week with, those relationships, those few of you that have that wonderful privilege to actually be with another energetically sensitive and or empath, and to have this energetic connection already going in your relationship. Guys, this is also the time where you can call the other on their highest potential. This is about finding the higher expressions of ourselves, okay? And if you have an outspoken agreement with your partner that this is the journey that both of you are on together, then reflection also includes that you have the permission to reflect on when your partner, is just sort of half-assing it, okay? So this is about giving yourself permission to call yourself or others on, sort of not living up to their highest potential. And again, here, this has nothing to do with judgment, but also, seeing that you need to give others enough space, to do this. So this is not about pushing anybody. This is about calling someone on their inner alignment, and then allowing, trusting that their true self will work this out. It is okay to be in that place of transition. We don't need fixes. We don't need answers, guys. This is not what we came here for. We need to learn, how to transcend, how to shift, how to heal, because then it doesn't matter what happens. Okay, so for those of you who are in this sort of conscious relationship, sort of true self, energetically aware relationship realm, it's a time of redefining intimacy, redefining vulnerability, redefining what connection truly means. All right, and don't get hooked on these questions that force you into sort of a yes or no position, that force you into this like duality, into this being opinionated, or sort of there's only two options. Okay, don't let yourself get forced there, and don't force anybody else into questions like that. Instead, reframe it into, I wonder how we can work this out together. I wonder how this will play out. I wonder what I can do, to contribute. And New Zealand, hello. Oh, and Trinidad. Yes, so wonderful, guys. All right, we're almost coming to an end here with the spiritual tips. Guys, this is a lot about purpose, quest, and meaning here in these months. All right, so your specific task for next week will be to make meaning of your energetic sensitivity, of all this stuff that you have been going through. And I want to send out a little bit of a warning here, because I get this question quite frequently right now. People are coming up to me and say, well, I am a healer, I am an empath, I am a Hiyoka, I am a shaman, I am a... Watch that, okay? Because that can push you into that duality again. Anything that labels you. Now you can know what you are, all right, and who you have become, okay? But you don't need to push this, project this out, okay? So neutralize all these spiritual projections, because they can pull you into fear and into, anger and pain just as much as, not expressing your emotions correctly or not living up to your highest potential. So there's no need to identify yourselves with anything. And remember the divine comedy here, okay? So we are part of that, okay? We all have our karmic role to play. And energetically, those of you who want to actively work on things here this coming week, of course, still shadow work here at transCODES. We're doing a shadow work special about codependency, and you may be surprised to hear that we contextualize codependency along with shadow work, but this is why we work with people through this. You let them experience it themselves, and so that you can actually see how, you know, some of your strengths, you know, turned into weaknesses, and how to reverse that. Okay, that's what shadow work is. And then a really big here, the next marathon coming up, the Sacral Heart Marathon, where we learn how to actively use energy work to integrate our emotions, integrate all our lower chakra stuff, the first, second, and third chakra stuff, and how to merge that with our heart, you know, so that we can be more confident, more sure, you know, about our emotions, and that we don't see it as insufficiency or vulnerability anymore. Okay. Another big theme here for the next week and the week thereafter is etheric protection, guys. So I talked about how our immune system may feel affected, also the etheric immune system. So again, here at transCODES, you know this, we have intensives that teach you how to apply etheric protection, etheric consolidation, you know, warding off energies and so forth. I'd strongly recommend that you check this out. Okay, we have this come up, I think, in 2 weeks from now. And another thing that I recommend for next week is to really reframe all these different perceptions that you have of yourself, of the world, your different emotions, you know, and the different options that you're seeing as energetic states. So this is a really, really healing way of, you know, of witnessing, you know, what you are going through, instead of judging it all, instead of going into the panic or into the anxiousness. Collectively, yes, I mean, you know, there's the energies are still explosive. They're still very reddish, you know, in their expression. So, you know, more sort of accidents, explosions, you know, the earth erupting, you know, so that's something, you know, I've been saying this for 3 months. So, yeah, it's the time for that, you know, and, you know, sort of politically and so forth, things have not yet been resolved, okay, even if people pretend they are as completely incongruent, and we know it, all right? So accept things the way they are, not in a sense of sucking it up, but that nothing is resolved yet. So there's still things to come, big things to come till the end of the year, okay? All right, guys, it's been a pleasure to have you here. Please like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. There'll be an edited version of this video, which of course erases all your comments and everything. There will be a tiny write-up with it. I need to get ready now for the crypto spiritual energy update, where I contextualize all these collective energies into the crypto market, and, you know, sort of interpret what this could mean, you know, for the financial sort of, not just markets, but, you know, the financial understanding, and the you know, how the conscious investor, you know, can use this, you know, to make decisions for next week. Thank you so much, guys. Love having you here. Hope to see you next week. Bye-bye.